We good? I'm pretty sure we're live right now. All right, yeah, we're looking good. Hey, everybody, how's it going? I'm going to try out some live commentary for the co-main and the main event tonight. Arman Tsarukyan, I'm going to mispronounce his name all night, but he's going to be fighting Islam Makhachev, and they're doing their walkouts right now. But this is a big fight because Islam Makhachev is one of the hottest prospects in the lightweight division, trains at AKA with Habib Nurmagomedov. They got guys like DC there, so it's going to be an interesting fight. I mean, this Arman kid, he's going to be a big underdog, man. I mean, this is a lot to overcome, and these Sambo guys are when they execute their game, like, it's really hard to shut down. You don't see a lot of guys stop it, and it's really just work to get back to your feet if you can even get there. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. This kid's 13-1 though. Tsarukyan, he's he's a hot prospect too, but I just don't think he's on the level that Islam is. But we're going to find out in this fight. I should probably wish all you stoners out there happy 420, right? Isn't it weird that like marijuana, I'm not saying that it's embraced among the community and the people who watch it, right? But weed is it's very much a part of fight culture, and especially jiu-jitsu, big there. But the UFC doesn't really frown on it. You got guys like Nate Diaz, Nick Diaz, Henry Cejudo, Sean O'Malley. I mean, you can't do it in competition or whatever. If you get flagged for it, you're still in trouble, but it's weird that organizations like the NFL, if you hear about Josh Gordon or Le'Veon Bell getting busted for weed, they get thrown into the media. It's all these headlines, their character gets judged for some bizarre reason. And I think part of the reason you get away with it in the UFC is simply just because, I think they kind of live on the bleeding edge, right? I mean, the sport's only been around for 26 years now, almost 26 years. So there's a little more leniency and people are a little more accepting, and it's just now becoming mainstream, whereas sports like baseball, and baseball is weird because it's weird that they demonize marijuana, but I mean, there are obviously periods in sport where a lot of sports have gone through eras where PEDs were obviously prevalent and obviously making a difference in the game, but they get pissed at guys. Also, it's weird that in the NFL especially, I always think about this, it's weird that guys can go and run 20 miles an hour or however fast they'd run. They're running 4.3, 4.2 40s, right? 200-pound men clashing into each other with helmets on recklessly. And you're going to tell them they can't smoke weed? That seems immature, like an immature stance on the topic to me, but whatever. Let's get back to fighting, right? So the first fight on the main card was Jotko, and he fought Alan Amadovsky. Like I said, I'm going to butcher these names, so just hang with me. But Amadovsky, he's got good boxing and everything, man. He's got power, but there's a difference when you're fighting at the UFC level. Jotko's a guy coming off 3 losses in a row to hard guys, Uriah Hall, Brad Tavares, and somebody else. Jan Blachowicz. I think that's who it was. Those are guys that are no fucking joke, man. And he's got some experience, and really just able to control the fight on the ground. That was the difference maker to me. Pretty obvious that was the difference maker in the fight, right? He would just slice into side control, and Amadovsky just didn't know what to do with anything. And it was also Amadovsky would do one thing and he'd do one thing right, and he just couldn't chain everything together, and it wasn't enough to keep up with Jotko's pressure. And it was a smart game plan by Jotko. He used a lot of kicks, mixed things up well, whereas you could tell Amadovsky was coming in and hunting for the knockout, hunting for the big shot that put him to sleep. And it's funny because I predicted Roxanne Modafferi. It was a good fight, don't get me wrong, and Antonina definitely had her moments, but I predicted that Roxanne would win, and somebody said, if Roxanne wins, I'll chop my balls off. And I was like, you can't sleep on experience, man. It matters. And especially when the experience is in the form of grappling, because you have the ability to take the fight and put it where you want to go. I mean, Roxanne's stand-up is a little bit rocky, but whatever. She was able to take the fight and put it where she wanted. I felt like she definitely won the fight. Antonina landed more damaging shots on the feet, but she could never keep the fight where she wanted to keep it, and Roxanne could take it to where she wanted to keep it, or where she wanted it to be. So, yeah, kind of what I expected to happen, pretty competitive, but Roxanne was able to pull through. I don't know who the fuck scored it for Antonina. I thought that was completely wrong. But and then Marcelo Golem got knocked the fuck out. And it was funny because when I did the breakdown for that one, I thought Marcelo was going to have the hand and the kick speed. God damn, man. Sergey Pavlovich has some power, and he has some fast-ass hands. I slept on him a little bit. So Much respect to him. That was a beautiful knockout. And I think that's what a lot of people were waiting to see when this guy came into the, UFC. He got matched up against Alistair Overeem, who's headlining this card. Tough go at things, man. Alistair's no joke. Finished him in the first round, I believe, but all right, this one's about to get started. I'll try to give you guys a timer. I know nobody's on right now, but Herb Dean's going to be reffing this one. Like I said, man, this Islam Makhachev guys have gotta worry about at 155. All right, and we're off. Round one's just starting. 456, 455 if you want to sync it up. Nice kick. You'll notice one of the things that I said about Makhachev is his kicks are a little bit smoother than even Khabib's. They train out of the same camp. I'm not saying he's better than him or anything. Don't get carried away, but he does throw some smooth strikes. They all have that kind of like lunging in and throwing them wild hooks, right, with their punches. You'll notice that Makhachev will do that a little bit. Oh, trip there. Looks like he's all right. And Makhachev's just slowly applying pressure here, and he capitalizes on that trip by its target. Good job digging the underhook. Good job getting his back off the cage, too. This is what he has to do here. Now, in my opinion, he wants to separate. You don't want to stay engaged. If you can get out of here, get out. Don't fight for this. Man, he's in on a single, though, and he's riding the pipe. Good job getting the leg back outside. Oh, he's riding it again, now. You want to see Makhachev work to get that leg outside to prevent the takedown. But Tsarukyan's working on he's on a high crotch here. Trying to elevate, slips out to the knee. Makhachev's trying to get that leg outside, but Tsarukyan's actually doing a good job controlling it. This is some good pressure here from Tsarukyan. But this is, the question is, can Tsarukyan keep doing this over the course of the fight? Because what makes these guys successful isn't the fact that they don't do like one takedown attempt at a time. It's the way that they chain the wrestling together and the way they apply constant pressure and they give you no rest. And you see here that Makhachev's got his back up against the cage now, Tsarukyan. So already reversed the position. It's back. Doing a good job getting his back off the cage though, man. Good trip. Beautiful trip and right into mount. Man, this is going to be a tough spot. Tsarukyan's got to be safe. He's got to be focused on survival here. Got those legs tied up too. They're so good at that, man. That Sambo background, they tie it up and they're just able to throw shots on you. Good job escaping it, though. He's in danger of getting his guard passed here, trying to elevate with the butterfly guard, but it's not going to be enough. Oh, shit. This is running low. I hope I saved it. Nice knees here in the clinch. Sorry about that, guys. Got the front headlock. Oh, and he drops for a guillotine, flips him over. Good job by Tsarukyan, man. He's game. He's game. He's got some good scrambling. But again, is it going to be enough? Trying to climb the fence and get onto this guillotine here, but it's going to be hard to finish. Digging for the underhook, slips his head out. Good job by Makhachev to escape that. Really, Tsarukyan had the grip, but he wasn't in an advantageous position. You got to really get your hips engaged to finish a standing guillotine. And with your back against the cage, the odds that you're going to drop down and finish it are low. Good job by Makhachev avoiding that elbow. Good knees. Good knees from Tsarukyan here. Staying active with his back against the cage. Oh, and he caught the knee there. And he's around to the back. Man, there's some interesting transitions here. And, you're seeing Tsarukyan put Makhachev in these defensive positions. And, man, he lands a takedown. Makhachev's trying to – man, he's completing them. This is impressive. This is surprising. We haven't really seen anyone go into and out-wrestle someone with the – when that Sambo style is executed at a high level, you don't really see it shut down very often. But this is a good job. He's got a body lock here, riding him. Now, this is where the Sambo guys up against the cage here, they do a good job of moving your weight from your hands back to your feet, and they establish their balance and stuff, do a good job of tiring you out. But again, notice how Tsarukyan is just keeping his back off the cage. That's important. This is a competitive round. Going for that trip again, but he misses it. grappling heavy, but a lot of interesting transitions if you're into that. And I mean, this is fighting, you know? Not everyone's going to be they're not going to stand there and trade in every single fight. This is some high level shit though. I mean, if you're into grappling and you like watching it, watch these guys. Nice uppercut off the break there by Makhachev. Hunting for that right hand a little bit. Threw a lot into it. See, searching for it. The question is, nice level change, but a nice sprawl by Makhachev. Man, Tsarukyan does such a good job of not letting Makhachev get his leg to the outside. Look how he rides that pipe. Good round, competitive round. I don't know who you give that one to, man. Maybe Tsarukyan, maybe. Man, that's a close fight. I did not expect that. I'm not going to lie. I thought the grappling advantage would be leaning heavily in Makhachev's favor, and that was competitive. The question, though, again, is can you keep this up over the course of 3 rounds? Like, are we going to see that take a toll playing that kind of style against a guy like Makhachev? The question is, can you do it consistently? Not if you can do it. Please subscribe. Just ask who am I rooting for. I don't really root for anybody in these unless I like in the main event. I'm based out of Denver and I train at Easton. So if Overeem's fighting, like I'll root for him, but I don't really have any close affiliation to him or anything, you know. So whoever wins is fine with me. I just want to see a good fight. I'm more worried about the outcome than who wins. I picked Islam to win this fight. The training with Habib and the top pressure and everything that he's able to do, I thought it would be overwhelming. Still 2 rounds to play out here, but man, he wasn't able to impose his will on Tsarukyan, and that's got to be a win for him alone, right? Tsarukyan looks calm too, looks composed. Nice front kick there that he tried. I'm at 444, 443, 442 in the second round if you guys are trying to sync up. Pawn out there. Oh, nice kick from Makhachev, but defended by Tsarukyan. Tries a kick of his own, but it falls short. It makes you wonder what's Islam's approach going to be now. I think he's got to try to impose his will. Like I've watched Tsarukyan fight Junior Sunsao, and he got mounted by him. So his bottom game, but I mean, you saw Islam take him down, and he recovered in that first round. So I mean, it's crazy that Tsarukyan is choosing to engage in this type of fight with him, and he's having some success. Front headlock position here, though, for Makhachev. Breaking his posture down, but Tsarukyan out of it and a nice elbow off the break. Man, this kid looks impressive. This is a great matchup. Much more competitive than I thought it was going to be. Nice leg kick. Feeling out there with the jab for Tsarukyan. Good head movement too, you know. I mean, nothing crazy, just staying fundamentally sound. Pawn out there, like I said, with the jab, looking for things, trying to find his range. Not taking a ton of risks. There's a nice spinning back kick. Little telegraph, but it was nice. Didn't land. And it's crazy because Tsarukyan's the one engaging in the grappling contest. Like, he's the one initiating the takedowns, and you would think that would be Makhachev. Like, Makhachev's been in this position a few times, but he's having trouble putting Tsarukyan where he wants to put him. Nice shots to the body here, but Makhachev's probably looking for that trip. He's hit it once this fight, trying to get him off balance, and he's going to look to redirect his weight. That Sambo style, man, those trips are huge, and they're great at hitting them. They always tell you when you're grappling and stuff that one of the things, though, is don't get hit with the same thing twice, right? So Tsarukyan's got to be keen to that. He's got to be aware that he's already been hit with it once. The question is, can Makhachev make him think about that and hit him with something else, right? I mean, this is crazy. I really thought that Makhachev was going to have a big advantage in the grappling department, and there's the trip, but nice rebound by Tsarukyan. Now Makhachev's riding the pipe, and he gets a takedown. Around to the back, he's got the body lock. Now this is where these Sambo guys really shine. It's going to be important for Tsarukyan to get the hands-on clasp. Makhachev's going to start looking to shift his weight back and forth here. Probably going to look to break his posture down and start putting Tsarukyan's weight on his hands. And then he'll start weighing on the arms. It burns you out. Goes for a takedown, but goddamn, Tsarukyan's got a Kimura grip here. Makhachev's defending it by grabbing the inside of his leg. trying to stay tight, but make no mistake, he's got a good grip here. Hard to finish, though, against a guy with good top pressure. Probably won't see a finish here. You got to really have some power to hit a Kimura. What a lot of guys do when they're in this position, too, is they make the mistake of they try to yank. Like when they've got the Kimura locked up, they try to yank it. You should really push it inside and pull it back out, create an angle. See, you lost it there. A lot of guys say it relies on power, but I think it's more of a leverage thing and a technique thing. If you pull that thing away from, if you push it inside, then pull it out, you have a much better chance of completing it. But you'll see guys just try to fucking sit there and rip it out, and you're ripping against the wedge that they've created on their leg. Good job by Tsarukyan pushing this fight up against the fence. This is crazy. It's like Makhachev just can't gain an advantage against him. I don't necessarily know who's winning the fight. This is the first time I've ever called a fight or anything when I was, commentated it. So it is much harder to pay attention to who's actually winning while you're trying to commentate what's going on. But, man, I don't think Tsarukyan's too far out of this thing, if not winning. Makhachev's starting to – this is where see Tsarukyan looking at the clock, wondering how much time's left, understanding he's in a bad position. And this is the question. When you start getting tired, are you able to keep defending these chain wrestling attempts and these grappling attempts? And are you able to keep up? But through 2 rounds, I'm not going to lie, man, he's looked good. In on a high crotch here. Got his hands locked. On the safe side of the body, too. Hard for Tsarukyan to land any elbows or anything here to hurt him. You might just see a stalemate play out here until the end of the round. Islam looking to finish the fight up against the cage, maybe hoping to gain the round. Oh, great. My fucking TV just cut out. Hold on. See if I can restart this thing. That is the problem with streaming, right? Like cable seems to be so much more reliable. Like if you put a fight on Fox or ESPN and it's actually on a channel that's broadcasted by cable, right? It's probably not going to cut out. But you get fights like this and they do. It's got to be such a bummer for people who are fans of this and don't have access to high-speed internet and stuff too, I mean, like I know that's becoming more of a rarity, but it seems like the streaming thing, I think it's the way of the future, but they might have jumped into it a little fast. I don't know if the way to go right. I mean, you could argue that they're ahead of their time, but I don't fucking know. Could be a good move, might not be. This is a close fight. I mean, whoever wins this round might take the fight. Tsarukyan coming in as a big underdog and surprising some people. Nice combo there. Everything missed, but I like how he's keeping them thinking. Nice kick. 440, 439 of the 3rd round. This will be the last round for the co-main event. Feeling each other out here. Most of the action is taking place in these grappling exchanges between the two. Tsarukyan mixing things up, though, being the aggressor coming out in this 3rd round. I couldn't tell if that kick landed there by Makhachev or not. Tsarukyan's still the one, in my opinion, pushing the pace in this 3rd round. They're looking to land, changing levels, keeping Makhachev working, keeping him thinking. You can tell Makhachev's a little hesitant to implement his game plan. This wasn't, this might not be what he expected this fight to be. Nice kick there. A lot of feeling each other out here. And it could be hesitancy on both guys' sides. Oh, there's a nice takedown attempt by Tsarukyan, but well defended. Good sprawl by Makhachev. That was a nice entry. You hit that shot on a less experienced grappler, you're probably going to land it most of the time. That was a nice shot. Makhachev doing a good job of getting his hips back. But Tsarukyan again getting that single leg. Nice knee by Makhachev. And now he's got Tsarukyan up against the cage with a little bit of time to work. But so far, look, Tsarukyan, double unders already. Very hard for Makhachev to hit anything from this position. Always working to get his back off the cage. That's what enough guys don't do. I know that Makhachev is no Khabib, but this is a blueprint. This is what you have to do in these grappling exchanges. So much of what they do relies on putting your, nice elbow off the break by Tsarukyan. Goes for the spinning back kick to the body. Nice entry. Again, his entries are nice, but Makhachev's just a step ahead of him on defending him, and now he's going around to the back. Wow. Tsarukyan is just game as fuck. He can scramble. I like how he maintains that underhook. He's hunting for a guillotine here. He might get taken down. Yeah, can't go doing that. You can't again. Don't abandon the fundamentals when they've been working for you so well. Good job forcing the head down, but in the position he's in, it's easy for Makhachev to get his head back up on top of his hand and keep applying pressure. This is where, these guys are really, really a problem. And Makhachev might feel like he has to get the finish here, so you might see a sense of urgency out of him. It just depends. Makhachev, in reality, I think is probably winning the fight. But Tsarukyan just surprised me. Look, he's back to his feet, doing a good job getting around. You should dig that. Oh, he's doing a good job. Makhachev's doing a good job of guarding that left arm from getting the underhook. But Tsarukyan always working, man, going for a trip of his own. Nah. Makhachev's hip to that shit. This is all they play, right? They're great at those trips. A lot of pressure on Tsarukyan here. But again, getting his back off the cage, man. That's where most of the takedowns for these Sambo guys stem from. They put you up against the cage and they relentlessly wear on you. It's not necessarily these big explosive shots like you see from some of these like collegiate wrestling styles. It's more of like slow grinding, constantly transitioning, constantly, readjusting your weight and putting you in positions you don't want to be. There he gets a nice takedown. But he's having trouble getting past the guard at Tsarukyan. You look, Tsarukyan's recovered butterfly hooks here. At least one of them. In position to hit a leg lock here, maybe. Might be working for one. But trying to elevate him here. Not going to be really anything doing without your other hook there right now, I wouldn't think, though. Now he's got both hooks in. He abandoned it too early. He should have looked to extend a little more and get a little further away for him. But backing his ass up against the cage is good, though. But, yeah, this is that problem. When you get into that position, these guys are so good at tying your legs up with that triangle that they make there. And then the only thing that you're really left to defend with is your hands until you can get your legs free. And it's a lot to focus on at once, and it allows them to land a lot of shots. You can see, though, like there's some inconsistencies with how he does it and how Khabib does it. Like when Khabib locks it up, you don't really get your legs free until he wants you to get your legs free. That was a good fight. I think Makhachev's probably going to get the nod. The fact that they're in Russia is probably helping. But good fight and competitive from Tsarukyan. I didn't expect it to be that close. Damn. I don't know. I just think the fact that it's in Russia, and I don't really know. I don't really know who won that fight. My fighting background, I'm a white belt in jiu-jitsu. I've been training for about 3 years. I started out in a small college town in Clarion, Pennsylvania, at Clarion MMA. Great group of guys there that got me into it. And then I moved to San Francisco, trained at Half Gracie with Kurt Osiander for a little bit. I don't actually fight MMA. I would never, like the head damage and everything. It's just, I don't have the personality to do it. Those motherfuckers are killers and they dedicate their time to it. But I've always been a fan of the UFC, and I train as a hobby. Recently started kickboxing and stuff, so I just watch this shit for fun. What time the match play? I don't know what you mean, dog. I'm guessing that the main event between Overeem and Oleinik is going to start here probably in about like 20 minutes. Just depends on how long they want to take in between these fights. But yeah, I have no actual fighting background. That's why when you're watching this shit, don't take it too seriously. Like I'm a white belt. Like I've been a big fan for a long time, but and I watch it and stuff. But saying these things and watching what people are doing is so much easier than actually implementing it. So massive respect. 20 minutes to gameplay. I'm guessing, man. I don't know what you mean by gameplay. I'm sorry. I'm confused. I'm guessing Islam's going to get the nod here, right? Yeah, good fight though. Tsarukian's got nothing to hang his head about, man. That was competitive against, like I said, one of the hottest prospects in the UFC. But you see the differences in levels, right? Like that's a high level sambo fighter right there. And the way that he executes and implements things is just not the same as the way Khabib does it. His understanding is not quite there. Great fight, and big win for him. I thought he deserved that win, but Tsarukian just impressed me. I thought it was going to be much more dominant. Yeah, I'd guess like 20 minutes until Overeem and everything are on. That's the event we're all waiting to watch, right? Five-fight win streak. 4 guys ahead of him for lightweight division. So he's in 5th for the longest win streak in the lightweight division. That goes to show you what a fucking Shark Tank that place is. So hard to win consistently in that division. So many different matchups and so many different styles. And I always say, like, in my opinion, 155 is like the ideal weight class for fighting. I think it's just where like you still get the power, you get the cardio, you get you know what I mean? So these guys can go for 5 rounds, no problem, and keep putting their foot on the gas. They can still knock each other out. The technique's still all there. A lot of stuff to like about that weight class. It's like everything kind of comes together for this, like, you get to see martial arts exemplified at like the highest level. And I'm not saying that like people like John Jones and the heavier guys aren't talented. They obviously are, but there's just deeper talent at lighter weight classes, in my opinion. Like 135, probably the second deepest weight class in the UFC behind 155. Think about the killers that you got at 135 pounds. Aljamain Sterling, Cody Garbrandt, TJ Dillashaw just got popped for EPO, but you can't doubt his technique. Dominic Cruz. 135 is deep as fuck. Big heavyweight fight coming up here between Overeem and Oleinik. This is going to be an interesting one. Overeem, this is probably, being pushed as a grappler versus striker matchup, and I think that's what you're going to end up seeing. I think Oleinik's just too risky to go to the ground with. Not saying he can't stand up or anything like that, but Overeem is just so experienced, but he's also been knocked out like 17, 18 times. He's kind of a go for broke guy. Like if he loses, he's going to lose big. And if he wins, he's going to win big too, Oh boy. I didn't actually think about what I was going to have to do in between the co-main and the main event when the commercials are on. So oh, what else do we got going on? Next weekend's a big fight. John Fitch is going to be fighting Rory McDonald. That's going to be an interesting fight. I saw Firas Zahabi accused John Fitch of doing steroids, so blames that for his resurgence. It's going to be an interesting fight. Jacare's fighting. And Corey Sandhagen is fighting John Lineker. I bring him up because I was at the gym one time. I'm almost positive it was him. I'm not 100%, but I trained at Easton Centennial in the Denver area, and I walked in. And I was watching this kid grapple, and I'm like, man, that motherfucker's good. Like, he's smooth. Like, there's a difference in the way he's moving and everybody else. And I walked by him, and I was like, I'm about 99% sure that's Corey Sandhagen. He's a kid to really watch out for in the bantamweight division. I'm not just saying that because he's there. That kid's been on my radar because of Brendan Schaub mentioning him and stuff. But for a while, his jiu-jitsu is nasty. Really, really, a lot of talent, and he's got a tough fight against John Lineker. One of the toughest fights of his career, probably. The toughest fight of his career. John Lineker is very good. That bantamweight division, man. TJ Dillashaw getting busted for EPO was such a bummer because he was a guy who, like I always say, like when I look at TJ Dillashaw, if you're going to build a fighter from top to bottom, you would want everything that TJ Dillashaw has except the mentality that he had for cheating, right? I mean, he's got brilliant technique. He's a great wrestler, good jiu-jitsu practitioner. He's well-rounded. And he does everything well. His timing's really good, but you just have to wonder, like, how much of that is due to him cheating and taking performance-enhancing drugs, EPO, like it. The thing about it is I know, like, some people blame Cody Garbrandt, for example, for getting a little reckless and getting knocked out because of it, and it might be true. But you have to remember that, like, the way that TJ is going to approach the fight and the way that he's going to go about training for the fight are going to be completely different. He's going to have He's going to have a larger gas tank to train with, and he's going to be able to commit to shots more during the fight. Like, he's going to be able to put more behind them and more emphasis on things because he's able to go for longer. If you don't think that impacts how he goes about fighting and how his game plan is set up, man, I don't know. It definitely makes a difference in my opinion. I think, and I mean, Joe Rogan and Herb Dean got into this a little bit on their podcast, right? But what do you do? How far back in the history books do you go and you look at these things and you find out that these champions are cheating? I guess you kind of got to leave it at like, you leave the time alone for what it was, right? And unless you have a reason to suspect that they were cheating, you don't really go back and take it away from them, in my opinion. Because goddamn, you're talking about a lot of potential belts that would get stripped, a lot of potential fighters that would get busted, a lot of legacies tainted. I don't know that it would be good for the UFC. All right, Overeem and Oleinik are finally about to walk out. This fight, they actually moved it along pretty good. I'm impressed. It's only been on for like, what, 2 hours and 15 minutes, and we're already getting to the main event already. I feel like it's moved smoother than other ones have. Oleinik is just so unique because his ability, it's not just that he's hitting these submissions, it's that he's hitting him on big guys in advantageous positions, like in Ezekiel from the bottom of mount against a heavyweight. Like, you would think that heavyweight would have the ability to posture up and get out of that, but his squeeze is just something different. And you can tell when he gets a hold of guys, they're kind of like, what the fuck? Like, that's not what I was expecting at all. He's built like a fucking bear. Overeem's jacked too, though. This is going to be a really good fight. And it probably is going to benefit Overeem to stay on the feet, but Overeem's got some good ground and pound too. A lot of people sleep on that. You know, and he's moved to Easton where he's training with Elevation Fight Team with Curtis Blades. Stipe was able to finish Overeem from the guard, and then Blades did the same thing with those nasty elbows that split him open. And I think Overeem realized, like, okay, it might be time to go train with some motherfuckers who can take me down. And he's had good top pressure and good ground and pound his whole career, you know. It's not just his stand-up that makes him good. He wasn't afraid to go to the ground against Fabricio. I know he didn't stay there very long. It's not like he hung out in his guard and played that game, but he wasn't afraid to go there either. I think that's important. Kind of lets you make a statement, get in the other guy's head a little bit, you know? Like, I'll go into your world. You won't catch me in anything, but I'll play around in it. I'll flirt around in it a little bit. And, you know, Oleinik, though, Overeem's got to be careful going to the ground at all because Oleinik can hit things from anywhere, seemingly, you know? There's nowhere that you're safe. If you're not safe in mount, you're not safe anywhere. Actually, I think there's a mentality shift going on in jiu-jitsu and grappling right now where there's a real argument that side control is a more dominant position than mount. And I watched a video with John Danaher and he broke it down. It's basically because your spines are perpendicular and it's so much harder to budge that person off you. And they're constantly able to apply shoulder pressure, drive their weight into you. It's a dominant position. And when you can hit people and land, like, push off elbows from there, hard to get out of. Mount is still dominant, but you still have hip movement there most of the time. A lot of guys are so explosive that they can create some sort of opening to get the knee between the legs, hidden escape. And then you got some motherfuckers who are so flexible, they'll just throw their legs up around your waist and hit you with a leg lock or something, you know? So I think mount is just going through a transition phase where it's not as dominant as it used to be. I mean, if you can start raining down strikes on a person, if you get them in mount, I'm not saying it's not dominant. I'm just saying for establishing position and maintaining it and controlling a person, breaking their posture down, holding them there, side control is a good way to work. Wears on your opponent too because it's exhausting, and then you might be able to finish them a little bit easier in the later rounds. And if you're a white belt, if you've ever done jiu-jitsu, if you ask most people who are starting what their least favorite place to be in is, they'll tell you side control, not mount. Mount it's like escapable, you know? Like, they're solid escapes to get out of mount. I mean, you got somebody high level on top of you, you're probably fucked either way, but side control just feels so helpless. They're constantly driving your weight into you, and if you turn away from them, you know, you're giving up your back, and if you turn into them, you've got to go through building up your frames, and even if you do that, you still have to have an explosive enough movement to create a gap and recover your guard. And most of the times they're able to keep their hips heavy and, you know, keep applying pressure and keep you there. So you waste a lot of energy trying to get out of it too. That's why when you saw Jotko, you know, a lot of people are probably like, why isn't he just advancing the mount? Because you can hold him down in side control and fuck him up. Why would you leave? Overeem's been around for so long. I think I saw on the thing there were like 119 fights between these two, maybe more. Just been through so many wars. I think he got knocked out by Chuck Liddell in a Pride fight, right? Still going strong, though. One of the better strikers in heavyweight history, too. Jacked to the gills before they implemented USADA. But kind of a different stance, different striking stance. Hits you from some weird angles sometimes, really powerful knees. This is going to be a good fight, especially if they get into positions where, they're getting into the clinch and stuff. Because you would think that Oleinik's going to have an advantage there, maybe be able to set up some takedowns, start working for some things, and Overeem's got some powerful knees and great awareness in that position. So this is an interesting fight, big fight for both guys, opportunity to move up the ladder. It's so weird that you're able to make it. You would think that at heavyweight you would be doomed, right, as you get older, because you're fighting against these guys who have these heavy fucking hands. But for whatever reason, as you get older, you can just keep surviving in that weight class. You would think you'd start fighting these young killers and just get knocked the fuck out, and sometimes you do. But age doesn't seem to be as much of a... It's probably because of reaction time, right? Like, no matter what you do, like at 125 pounds, if your reaction times aren't on point, you're going to have a real problem competing against the elite in that division. But heavyweight, no matter what you do when you're that big, your movement's just going to be slowed down a little bit. You can make the reads a little easier, I think, and when you become more of a veteran, like even people with fast hands, they're never going to be as fast as like a lightweight or a welterweight even, So you're able to make those reads, and when you're a veteran, you've seen a lot of stuff. So you see a lot of stuff coming. You can make your way through that division. And a lot of guys who come into heavyweight are relying on power. They want to knock those guys out. Like you saw Tai Tuivasa when he fought, Tyson Pedro when he fought Shogun. Like, I thought Tyson Pedro was going to light him up, but you see how the veteran experience kind of plays through. I know that's the 205, but it just seems to be like you can survive for longer at a heavier weight class. And I think it mainly is just due to reaction. That's why I don't understand, like, the want for people to push the 125-pound division out of the UFC. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't have a link to the actual fight. I won't promote, like, this is going to sound like I'm such a stiff, but, like, I don't promote streaming it illegally because I think fighter pay and everything is atrocious. Like, they have it rough enough. I can cough up $5 a month to watch this if I want to. Like, they put their bodies on the line every day, and I don't know if I'm going to watch it illegally. I try to avoid doing it illegally. And they had a deal last week where you could buy the pay-per-view for like $60 and a year of ESPN Plus for $20. So I just did that. I didn't think that was a bad deal. You basically get a whole year of ESPN Plus for $20 and the cost of a pay-per-view. That pay-per-view card was so worth it too, with Israel Adesanya, Kelvin Gastelum, Holloway, and Poirier put on a show. Poirier looked fucking brilliant in that fight. And a lot of people were saying, like, Max didn't look like he belonged at 155 pounds, and agreed, he didn't. But you got to remember that Dustin's had time to settle into that weight class. He's packed some muscle on. That's not Max's home. Dustin's been there for a while. And also, to me, it was, like, don't get me wrong, Dustin, I'm not denying that Dustin had more pop on his punches. He definitely did. But it was also just that Max, he'll step off, create an angle, and then when he hits you, you'll swing at him and you'll miss, then he'll hit you again, and then he starts pouring it on. And Dustin never let that happen. He stayed smart, went through some adversity in that fight. I thought Dustin looked brilliant. He looked like a world champion. Does that mean he can beat Khabib? Probably not. The main event's about to start right now. Bruce Buffer's introducing them and everything. 44-17 with 1 no contest. That's a lot of fucking fights. Oh boy. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in this one. I think that Overeem's going to have to just keep his range. Keep Oleinik from engaging in the clinch and stuff. He's strong too. It's like if Oleinik can push this fight up against the cage and get his hands wrapped around Overeem, Overeem might have himself a long night. So Overeem's got to play it smart. keep the fight at range, dot him up. A lot of respect. I said this on my last podcast, but it feels like we're going through this like wave of after all the disrespect that we saw between Khabib and Conor. I don't know if it's on purpose or if it's just the nature of what's going on, but there's the main events lately and stuff and just all the fights, there seems to be like an air of respect between the fighters, which is a breath of fresh air. And you see the beef between Conor and Khabib getting a little bit out of control online, Conor insulting his wife. Anyway, main event's about to start. Mark Goddard's reffing it. They touch gloves and we're off. I'm at 4:55 on the first round. Immediately right into the clinch. Oleinik drops to his back. And look, already controlling the posture of Overeem. This is not where Overeem wants to be. But Overeem's like, he's pretty hip to some of this stuff. You know, I would think he's been doing this a long time. He's not a slouch on the ground. He's got to be aware of the dangers. I wouldn't want to get caught here. Like, I wouldn't want to hang out here for too long. Oleinik's got that leg stretched out. Overeem should look to he missed it. Oh, tries a kick there. That's got to be a oh, nice knee. This is the difference, though, right? Like Overeem, there's a clear difference in striking advantage that belongs to Overeem. The way he throws the strikes, the way that he's able to establish range, that's a nice trip. Oh, got caught with the right hand a little bit there. Got to be careful. Oleinik's still a heavyweight. He's landing shots here. Overeem's up against the cage, defending. Looks like he defends the takedown well here. Overeem's got an underhook on that one side. Oh, nice knee. Oleinik's got him turtled up, though, man. He's got him shelled up, pushing him up against the cage, landing some shots to the body here. Over and over and over again. This has got to hurt. Overeem doing a good job defending, but you can tell that Oleinik's really putting the pressure on, starting to bother Overeem a little bit. Good job disengaging there, getting back to the center of the octagon. He keeps looking for that step and knee, and I like it, but I'd like to see him throw his hands a little more. He's got to establish range. If not, Oleinik's just going to keep cutting off this distance. Man, just teeing off on him here. But how much energy is Oleinik expending here? Because Overeem's not really taking a ton of damage. I mean, he's landing, but good job fighting for the underhooks here by Overeem. He's got to push his hips back and just disengage. Chooses to initiate, though. And he's hip to that Ezekiel choke attempt. Man, Oleinik is headhunting. Big uppercut. He's throwing everything he has into these strikes. And you got to wonder how much of a toll that's going to take on them. Both on Overeem absorbing them and just the pressure that Oleinik's putting on, and then how much energy is Oleinik exerting while he's putting the pressure on Overeem. A lot of this fight's taking place in the clinch so far. Big knee by Overeem. Nice shots to the body by Oleinik. He keeps beating that body up with that right upper hook. Look, when they're in the clinch, boom. Just keeps landing it over and over. Just keeps digging it in there. That'll take an effect. Man, there's no way this fight's going to go 5 rounds. If they do, it's because they'll be exhausted. They'll just be walking around the octagon at the end of it. This is a fast pace for a fight and a lot of grappling exchanges, which are probably the most exhausting. These clinch battles that they're getting into are so tiring on your arms, your legs, just everything. You've got to engage your whole body to win the position. Round right now is round number 1. I'm at 125, 124, 123. If you guys are trying to sync up, sorry about that. Overeem keeps hunting for that knee, and they keep getting back into the clinch. I'd like to see him. I mean, Oleinik's lunging in with these punches. He should step off, trade an angle, and counter, but he's just covering up. It makes you wonder if these strikes are hurting him or if he's tired or if he's just got a plan to wear Oleinik out and come out and tee off in the second round. I don't know, but there's no way you're letting him apply this much pressure, right? Overeem controlling the head here, reverses position and gets Oleinik back up against the cage, and Oleinik does the same to him. I mean, this is a good fight, don't get me wrong. It's just I'm a little bit confused by Overeem's game plan. I would think that he'd have an advantage from further away. Nice knee, though. Oh, big knee, big knee. Another one. Oh, he dropped him. He's going to finish him here. Overeem's on his back. 30 seconds to survive for Oleinik. Oh, big shots. Big shots. He's got him flattened out here. Oleinik's just trying to survive. Goddard's checking things out closely. Steps over him out. The fight's over. Big stoppage win by Overeem. Wow. Good fight. Overeem, I know he was like up against the cage and stuff, covering up a lot, but he didn't get hit with anything that was like made me feel like he was in danger of losing the fight. You know, he looked like he was in control. I was a little bit surprised by his willingness to engage in the clinch, but it clearly played off. Alistair Overeem's a bad motherfucker, man. Big win for him. Big win. In Russia. Goddamn. Climb up the heavyweight rankings a little bit. He'll have a big fight lined up for him next. But damn, good night of fight. Good day of fights, I guess, right? It's still the fucking afternoon here, which is kind of nice. Better than watching these things at 10 p.m. and then they end at 1 in the morning. Good fight. Oleinik just poured everything he had into finishing him on the feet in the first round. And, you know, Overeem able to stay strong in the clinch. Look at those knees that he's landing there. Boom, boom. Drops him. Oleinik's covering up here, gives up his back, gets flattened out, and just, oh, that knee's nasty, right on the chin. Then he lands another one. Damn, hell of a win for Alistair Overeem. But yeah, to recap the card, we had first fight, Krzysztof Jotko won. Second fight, Roxanne Modafferi was able to, you know, she was a big underdog going into that fight, but was able to rely on her grappling and her experience to pick up the win over Antonina Shevchenko. Sergey Pavlovich knocked out Marcelo Golm, which was kind of his homecoming, like, or his, you know, welcome to that's kind of what everybody expected when this guy came into the UFC, and he just happened to get matched up against Overeem in his first fight. Lost that one, but he looked great against Golm. Islam Makhachev picked up a win over a very game Tsarukian, and Overeem just finished Alexei Oleinik, so big win for him. Great day of fights. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye.